Now, from Southwest Florida's news leader, this is Wink News at 11.
Now in the Nightbeat, setting the record straight. State leaders address concerns over background checks for concealed carry permits.
Plus, protecting yourself when coming face to face with an alligator, what you need to know if the unlikely happens.
And phone problems for Samsung users. Tonight, the concern over a fire and the story of one woman who was hurt by a burning phone.
Wink News, the Weather Authority.
Hello everyone, and happy Saturday. I hope you had a great afternoon and evening today. We had some storms, somewhat on the strong side as well. A severe storm reported in Immokalee that dropped some hail early on, even near LaBelle. Now seeing a completely dry sky for tonight, so really a nice and pleasant night to take a walk before you head off to bed, as well as take your dog for a walk before you head off to bed as well. 76 degrees right now, Fort Myers, 79 in Naples, so still on that mild side. Low to mid-70s now inland, quite pleasant. In fact, almost in the upper 60s in Lehigh Acres. So somewhat less humid air now with us, and we are starting dry 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Temperatures in the lower 80s. Few storms do pop up, mainly after lunchtime, staying isolated around 1 p.m. And then scattered showers and storms mainly inland and east of I-75 come 4 and 5 p.m. A more detailed look at your Sunday forecast, plus that full 7 and 10-day forecast, all coming out.
And developing now, the state of Florida working to set the record straight after a bombshell report that tens of thousands of concealed weapon permits in Florida were approved with no national background check done. Adam Putnam, the man who runs the agency responsible for doing those checks, he's also running for governor, held a press conference today.
During that news conference, Putnam explained it was a staffer unable to log on to the computer system that left those applications approved without a background check. He says once it was discovered, they processed those applications all over again.
Nearly 350,000 applications that were processed in that 1 year period of time. 365 were flagged for further action, which would have resulted if the employee had done her job.
Of those, 291 permits were revoked once a full check was completed. He says that employee worked at the Department of Agriculture for years.
She was a longtime employee who was promoted because she was a longtime high-performing employee who was in this position for over a year before she decided to quit doing her job because of IT problems with her password.
Putnam wouldn't explain how much time had gone by since the applications were blindly approved to the moment the error was discovered. Putnam says there's new safeguards now, more seamless communication between FDLE and the Department of Agriculture, the two agencies in charge of approving gun licenses and purchases, and more oversight on the employees in charge of the checks.
And on the Nightbeat, private conversations between this accused serial killer and Tampa police detectives were just made public. The state attorney's office released the recordings of detectives interrogating Hal Donaldson III. Donaldson is facing murder charges for killing 4 people between October and November of 2017 in Seminole Heights. One noteworthy recording is Donaldson's first interrogation by officers.
Paying attention to the news and what's going on in the community the last couple months?
Haven't.
Have not?
I really don't watch the news.
Okay, all right. Are you aware of the murder rate recently increasing in Tampa?
I've heard people talking about people at my job.
Yeah, well, tell me what you've heard. What are they talking about?
They're saying that people are dying. Something about a serial killer.
Donaldson's manager at a McDonald's in Ybor City waved down a police officer after she says Donaldson handed her a bag and told her he had to leave town fast. She knew by the weight and shape of it that she was holding a gun.
Bad weather forces a plane to make an emergency landing at RSW. An American Airlines flight headed from Columbus to Miami diverted to Fort Myers today. The aircraft did land safely at 3:15. The weather was so severe in Miami, they needed to wait it out and refuel. Officials say the plane will continue its journey once the weather improves.
And new information now, police in Davie have identified the woman killed by an alligator as 47-year-old Shizuki Matsuki. She was attacked while walking her dog. Now, this is a photo of the gator that was caught. Florida Fish and Wildlife say they found the victim's arm inside of this gator. And while alligator attacks are rare, experts say there are ways to protect yourself. The Nightbeat's Nicole Valdez is along Billy's Creek with those protections. Nicole.
Well, there may not be any signs up here indicating a gator could be swimming in Billy's Creek, but that's not to say there isn't one. These predators can strike at any given moment, going after small animals and sometimes even people they consider prey. So the question is, would you know what to do?
The instinct is to run.
Some have their ideas.
I would plug its nose.
And have heard rumors.
I've always heard the zigzag is what you would do.
But not many people are confident they know what to do if they come face to face with a gator, probably because it's so rare.
People have a better chance of getting struck by lightning than they do getting attacked by an alligator.
But it can happen to anyone. Take Friday's deadly gator attack in Davie. Officials say a 47-year-old woman was likely dragged into the water and killed.
My thought on it is that the lady tried to defend her animals, got grabbed by the alligator. It's a 12-foot alligator. It's a monster. It's probably 600 pounds.
Gator expert Jeff Quattrocchi says in just hearing those details, he relived the moment he was bit almost 8 years ago.
There was no chance of getting my arm out without a fight.
He says gators have immense strength in their bite. And when they grab hold of something or someone, it only takes seconds for them to kill.
You need to hit the alligator in the head. If you have an opportunity, you need to poke your fingers into its eyes. You need to make it let go, because it's an ambush predator. It really doesn't want to fight.
Quattrocchi says being this close to a lake isn't a good idea. Instead, stay at least 20 yards away.
Always be aware. Do not let your guard down, because there are monsters in the water here.
Now, we asked Quattrocchi about that rumor everyone seems to be talking about, running away in a zigzag formation from a gator, but he says that is an absolute myth, and it's actually could make it easier for a gator to catch you based on their sight. Live in Fort Myers tonight, I'm Nicole Valdez, Week News Now.
Nicole, thank you. Now, in the Nightbeat, caught smuggling drugs into jail. One man is facing charges for trying to hide drugs underneath his armpits. The Collier County Sheriff's Office says John Fitzpatrick had 2 fentanyl patches under each arm as he walked into the jail. They discovered them during a strip search. Deputies learned Fitzpatrick brought them in for another inmate inside the jail and planned to bring even more for others. He is facing drug charges.
Wink News is on fire watch. At last check, the Merritt fire in the Picayune Strand Forest is 75% contained. It grew from 300 to 600 acres last night. This is video of another fire burning in the area. It started at 68th Avenue Southwest and Merritt Boulevard in Naples. Trust Wink News to give you any updates that you need to know.
And helping the victims of a volcano, relief goods are arriving in Guatemala after a major eruption. 140 tons of relief goods are being delivered to people who were impacted by the ash. A state of emergency has been declared. 7,000 people are living in more than 20 shelters near the volcano.
We now focus on assistance at the first stage, and that is to distribute food, clothes, and other daily necessities to people in the shelters. We also started yesterday to send food and drinkable water to people who are yet to be evacuated in the affected region.
More than 100 people are dead, thousands are still missing, and there's still donation sites at the Lee County Sheriff's Office. You can make a donation there.
A concern in the Cape over seawalls damaged by Hurricane Irma. Vacant lots like this one in the middle of large residential areas are being used as loading zones for marine contractors as crews work to repair them. Some neighbors are upset, but others say they don't mind. Either way, the city is coming up with a solution. The Nightbeat's Morgan Reiner has the story.
It's loud, it's messy, and if you live in Cape Coral, it's right in your backyard.
I finally got to our yard and getting our section taken care of over here.
The process is expected to take another year or two. To help make it move faster, the city is working on designating city-owned land as loading zones instead of these vacant properties next to residential homes. But how did the companies begin using these sites in the first place?
Vacant properties like this one also have damaged seawalls that you can see right here. So the trick to using this land as a loading zone is to offer the landowner a discount on fixing their wall as well.
Although the problem is being worked on, some neighbors don't mind the contractors working so close to home.
I mean, they got a job to do. So personally, you know, as long as it was in regular hours and it wasn't too noisy, I would try to overlook it if I could.
For a city that has the largest canal system in the world, the goal is clear.
They're understanding and sympathetic to their neighbors and realize that they too will one day need their seawall replaced.
Sure, when they will officially designate the work sites. Trust Wink News to let you know when they decide.
And you can lend a hand in cleaning up our beaches. Port Charlotte Honda Volkswagen will host a beach meetup tomorrow to clean it up tomorrow morning at Inglewood Beach. The company says they want to bring awareness to the community about the importance of keeping our beaches clean, especially during turtle nesting season. Cleanup starts at 9 a.m.
Connecting police with the community. The Fort Myers Police Department kicked off their Respect for Law training program with kids on their summer break. A helicopter landed in a field and greeted kids at the Bishop Faroe Catholic High School. Officers say they want to make an impact in every person. Over the course of 4 days and 3 nights, kids between the ages of 11 and 14 can learn the techniques used by emergency responders.
And vying for votes coming up, the Democratic candidates for governor square off in the first debate of the year. What they said next.
Plus, a thief caught on camera. Tonight, the frantic search for a family pet.
And if you plan on taking out the boat tomorrow morning and or afternoon, expect a light chop in our bays and inland waterways. Quite pleasant on the Gulf. Rain showers form inland once again, not along the coast, and that forecast is coming up.
And Wink News is Campaign Central. The first Democratic gubernatorial debate of the season took place earlier tonight. Andrew Gillum, Gwen Graham, Phil Levine, and Chris King took the stage at Pinellas Park High School in Largo. For 1 hour, they answered a variety of questions on how they would govern, including what changes they'd make during the next big storm.
We must have had plans in place to take care of those who are going to have to evacuate. There was not enough shelters across the state of Florida. We were not able to reverse the roads in the state of Florida so that people could move north.
While they changed the law, there were a number of exemptions, and so most of the facilities in Pinellas, in Hillsborough, in Central Florida where I live, that are assisted living and nursing homes still don't have backup power.
The candidates also tackled what changes they'd like to see to stop school shootings, including taking on the gun lobby.
So I can promise you this, and look at you and look to the parents who lost children. As governor, we will get rid of these weapons in our state.
And I'll tell you one thing about me. I fought the NRA in the gun lobby, and I've won not once but twice. We beat them when they sued us, and we'll beat them again when we're made governor here of the great state of Florida.
And this is one of 4 debates they'll take part in this summer. One of them is scheduled to happen here in Fort Myers.
Changing his tone, President Donald Trump doing an about-face tonight, saying he does not agree with the statement put out by the G7. It comes after a tense meeting in Quebec. The Nightbeat's Weijia Jiang is following the latest developments from the Trump presidency.
No tariffs, no barriers. That's the way it should be.
President Trump demanded America's top trading partners end all tariffs.
We're like the piggy bank that everybody's robbing. It's going to stop. Or we'll stop trading with them.
And the president warned America would win any trade war if they tried to retaliate against new tariffs on imported steel and aluminum.
We win that war 1,000 times out of 1,000.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was not intimidated. Canada is moving ahead with new trade tariffs July 1st.
Applying equivalent tariffs to the ones that the Americans have unjustly applied to us.
President Trump tweeted that it was that press conference that caused him to instruct U.S. representatives not to endorse a joint statement vowing to work on easing trade barriers.
Despite all of the tough talk, President Trump insists he got along with all the other world leaders in the summit. Instead, he blamed trade deficits on his predecessors.
I would say the relationship is a 10. And I don't blame them. I blame, as I said, I blame our past leaders for allowing this to happen.
Now the president is heading to Singapore, where he will sit down for a face-to-face meeting with Kim Jong-un. He said it won't take long to determine if Kim is serious about denuclearization.
How long will it take to figure out whether or not they're serious? I said maybe in the first minute.
The summit is scheduled to begin on Tuesday. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, Quebec City, Canada.
President Trump repeated his view that Russia should be readmitted despite its annexation of Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula 4 years ago. And he blamed former President Obama for letting Crimea, quote, get away.
A new video now. Buses from Homeland Security spotted at a federal prison. It's not immediately clear what they're doing there, but immigration activists believe the bus dropped off hundreds of immigrant detainees. As many as 800 more are expected throughout the weekend in Victorville, California. Activists say the U.S. government is acting secretive about where these detainees are coming from.
We don't know who's there. We don't know, is it folks that they got, at the border? Is it people that they're transferring from other detention centers? Are there mothers? Are there children there as well? We don't know these answers.
Officials announced a plan to house detainees in prisons a few days ago. Immigration activists don't believe that these measures are temporary.
Developing now, the son of two famous actors is arrested for a violent crime spree. Redmond O'Neill is facing attempted murder charges in Los Angeles. He's the son of Farrah Fawcett and Ryan O'Neill. Police believe he violently attacked 5 men, leaving one of them in a pool of blood. Weeks later, they arrested him for armed robbery. It's not his first time that O'Neill's been in trouble with the law. He and his father were arrested in 2008 for drug possession.
Well, happy Saturday, everyone. I hope you had a great day so far for today. Even this evening looking very nice if you have to take your dog for a walk before you head off to bed. Downtown Fort Myers, mostly clear sky for tonight, partly cloudy in a few spots. And we are starting dry for tomorrow. And we got hot right before those storms popped up this afternoon. In fact, it hit 92 in Immokalee, 93 in Naples. Fort Myers, you got to 93 as well. Father's Day Sunday looking very nice but warm. Temperatures back in the upper 80s.
A heat hazard in the car coming up. First responders show you the real-life dangers of being left in a vehicle on our hot Florida days.
And phone problems leaving one woman hurt and her car destroyed. Coming up, the warning for Samsung users.
And they're covering up the Germain Arena ice behind me with boards. That means a couple of things. Game 7 is in the books, and so is the 2018 ECHL Finals, and so is the Everblades season. That's next on Wing Sports.
A live look over Interstate 75 tonight. We are in the midst of the 100 deadliest days of summer. AAA says young drivers are at the greatest risk. 1 in 10 crashes in 2016 involved a teen driver. AAA says the most important things to prevent a crash: do not speed and reduce distractions.
New in the Nightbeat, with summer-like temperatures, a warning after 2 dogs die inside a hot Florida car. Police in Panama City say a man left his dogs in his van while he went drinking. The man's wife called deputies and expressed concern about the dogs after he was arrested for disorderly conduct. 3 dogs were in the van. 1 survived. The man faces charges of animal cruelty. The temperature inside a car can reach triple digits in just a matter of minutes, and some Indiana first responders are proving how deadly it can be.
Look, I mean, Mike is just pouring sweat.
If I had a squeegee right now,
Yeah.
I could squeegee my big forehead.
For more than 30 minutes, the police officer and firefighter sat and sweat just to prove their point. Temperatures inside reaching more than 120 degrees. They live streamed the whole ordeal as a way to show just how quickly the heat can become dangerous.
One of our biggest fears is that somebody will accidentally leave their child in their car. They'll get to them in time. The child will need medical attention, but out of fear of legal ramifications, the people don't call.
According to kidsandcar.org, 43 children died as a result of hot car emergencies in 2017. They encourage you to look before you lock. And if a child has spent any time in a hot car, get the child medical attention.
And developing news now, lava has destroyed more than 600 homes on Hawaii's Big Island. Now, as the community works to build temporary shelters, people who evacuated the Leilani estates are being allowed to return. Homeowners say it's a huge blessing to come back to 4 walls and a roof that hasn't been covered by lava.
I actually brought all of my really important stuff down to Kapoho, and it's all gone. And have come back here to kind of an empty house thinking, wow, it would all still be here if I just hadn't moved anything. So it's about detachment and also realizing that stuff is stuff. As special as it is, stuff is replaceable. Kids and animals and friends and loved ones, that's what it's all about.
1 person has been hurt by the lava.
Bombers grounded. The U.S. Air Force grounded all B-1 Lancer bombers. The Air Force says it's for safety reasons after an issue was found with ejection seat components. The B-1 bombers were featured in the U.S. strikes against Syria's chemical weapons facilities in April.
And increasing the reward to figure out who dumped a baby in the ocean near Boynton Beach. The The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is asking for your help for clues. The newborn found, now known as Baby June, may have been born in Broward County. Investigators believe she was between 4 and 7 days old. Anyone who might have information is asked to call police. And a warning for men. One woman is accused of scamming dozens for money. Police in California say Sun Mi Kim used the dating site KoreanCupid.com to find some of her victims. Unsuspecting men who police would say would find their lives turned upside down as soon as they met her. She would pretend to fall in love with them and then would scam them out of their money.
So unfortunate that so many over, I don't know even how many years, have been taken advantage of.
Police say she will be facing several charges.
Honoring an icon, the world continues to come to terms with the death of Anthony Bourdain. One of them, a chef who served lunch to him at his restaurant in northwestern France just 4 days before Bourdain's death. The Nightbeat's Jim Bitterman has the story now on Wing.
Chef Julian Schroeder never met Anthony Bourdain until just 4 days before he died. Bourdain visited Schroeder's restaurant on a side street in the Alsatian town of Colmar. It was where Bourdain had been told he could find a nice choucroute, sauerkraut, an Alsatian specialty. Schroeder now proudly, if sadly, displays what he thinks was one of Bourdain's last postings on Instagram. A shot of the choucroute he served the TV personality he instantly liked.
He was always very cool and very agreeable. You wouldn't have seen a problem. We had a chance to do a photo with them. There was no problem. They were very down to earth, no fuss. We were very surprised when we heard the news.
Schroeder runs the kind of place Bourdain loved to find, a small, out-of-the-way restaurant with simple but memorable food. And while Schroeder may not have known much about Bourdain beforehand, he realized the day Bourdain came to his restaurant that he was in the presence of a culinary superstar.
For example, when they were shooting their segment, there was a table with 2 Americans. They didn't even look at their menu. They said, "We are going to eat the same thing as Mr. Bourdain."
Schroeder has since found out a great deal about the American chef who came to lunch and how much he did to awaken tastes and encourage culinary exploration around the world. Said Schroeder, he was a defender of everyone in the kitchen. Jim Bitterman, CNN, Colmar, France.
Bourdain leaves behind an 11-year-old daughter.
And recommending its own force, a Broward Sheriff's Office major says Broward schools may need to have their own police force. The major told the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Safety Commission that her office believes Broward County would be better served if the district formed its own police department. She said similar arrangements work well in the neighboring counties of Miami-Dade and Palm Beach. The commission, tasked with coming up with safety recommendations, is scheduled to meet again in July. And a Marjorie Stoneman Douglas teacher is getting a special recognition. Melody Hartsfield saved her students' lives during the Parkland shooting, and now she's getting ready to receive a Tony Award. The Nightbeat's Lauren Estrada has the teacher's story.
The drama students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas are used to being on stage. Their teacher, Melody Hertzfeld, prefers to be behind the scenes.
15 years that I've ever put my picture in. I don't even have a bio because it's about putting them there. It's their work, it's their show, it's their director's piece, their stardom on the stage at school.
But come Sunday, Hertzfeld will be in the spotlight to receive the Excellence in Theater Education Award at the 72nd Annual Tony Awards, honoring the brightest stars on Broadway and beyond.
This is absolutely a once-in-a-lifetime. I was waiting for one of my students to be on the Tonys first. That's where they should be. That's who should be there first.
Hertzfeld is known to put her students before herself. She reportedly saved 65 lives by barricading students into a small closet when the shooter opened fire at Stoneman Douglas on Valentine's Day.
It was a perfect day, and we were all in my classroom rehearsing, and everything happened after that.
Hertzfeld says the recognition is definitely bittersweet.
It is very difficult to take all this positive attention when we always work really hard for everything that we do here. We're very high achievers, so getting something for nothing doesn't set straight for us. And getting something in light of a horrific event doesn't quite always feel right. But rest assured, I know personally getting a Tony Award nomination and a Theater Education Award is just not taken lightly, regardless of the situation that's going on So I know that it was done with all the respects and privilege that it was given.
For this hero teacher, she says she is proud of her students for raising their voices despite their pain.
There's no way to replace what's happened. But we're going to be here for the kids.
And part of the Tony Awards ceremony will pay tribute to the Parkland victims. The Tonys are tomorrow night at 8. You can watch them here on Wink.
New right now, 1,600 people raced through downtown Orlando to show support for the 49 victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting. The runners dressed in rainbow colors to show they stand Orlando united. Tuesday marks 2 years since the deadly shooting.
And caught on camera, a man steals a family dog from its front yard. This happened in Detroit. You can see it all unfold in the video from surveillance cameras across the street. The suspect plays with both dogs for a bit, walks back and forth along the gate, and then after about 3 minutes, he opens up the gate and takes the dog, and then he took off in a silver Ford.
It just shows there that what type of person he is, because he wasn't shy, he wasn't embarrassed, nothing. He was going from door to door, from gate to gate, to see if my other dog was out.
The dog cost the family more than $2,000. They have filed a report with Detroit police.
In Marion County, a life-saving moment caught on camera. This happened on Monday on Highway 40. Jason Keegan was having a heart attack when a nurse and a deputy began CPR. Jason is doing okay now. Struggling with expenses. Coming up, the results of a new study and the finances of Americans. Plus, a Samsung sparks a fire. Right after the break, the concern after a woman says her phone nearly killed her.
And if you plan on boating for your Sunday, the morning, early afternoon, the best time period. Expect a light chop in our bays and inland waterways. Your full forecast is next.
A warning tonight for Samsung phone users. A Michigan woman says her phone caused a fire that destroyed her car and nearly took her life. It happened last month. She had 2 cell phones sitting in a cup holder when one of them caught fire. She quickly pulled over and got out as flames engulfed her Nissan Maxima. The fire department records verify the fire was started by a cell phone.
We've contacted Samsung, and they've been very, very responsible. They sent out a whole crew to examine the car. They sent out engineers to examine what we believe to be portions of the phone. Once it's determined which of the phones, and that phone is recalled, will probably save lives.
There are similar complaints about Samsung phones online. Some of them were even banned from airplanes. Now, neither of the 2 in the woman's car are on the recall list. In a short statement, a Samsung spokesperson says, while we don't comment on pending litigation, we stand behind the safety of millions of Samsung phones in the United States. The woman and her attorney have not filed a lawsuit yet.
Good news for Americans and their wallets. More of you seem to be better off financially, but 4 in 10 adults cannot afford an unexpected expense of $400. A study by the Federal Reserve found only 1 in 10 adults received financial assistance from a family member or friend. Most of that was between parents and their adult children. The money was for general expenses. A number of adults also helped their parents over the age of 60.
Well, we are quiet for tonight, but we had a hot afternoon today. Check out our high temperatures. We hit 92 in Immokalee. That's before all those storms popped up. 93 was the high for you all in Fort Myers, same as in Naples. And we are still in the hot side again for tomorrow. Let's map out that full forecast. Here's what's going on right now. The large picture showing a quiet evening. Temperatures right at average. Lower 90s expected. Morning temperatures also a big player here, back in the low to mid 70s. So it just goes to show you that the moisture not as high as last week when we had morning temperatures in the upper 70s. It feels like temperatures were near low 100s, so luckily not feeling as hot the next few
So
days.
we're officially into that time when we should bring a rain jacket, even though it's really hot. It's like we're into rain every day.
Yeah, rain every single day. This is your first summer here, even if the forecast says dry, 15-minute shower, Southwest
Just
Florida
look up
afternoon.
at the sky.
It'll come. Have a great night and a great rest of your weekend.